Exposed, the sinister soldier who returned with cursed secrets from the haunted battlefield. The wind screamed against the house, rattling the windows as shadows flickered in the dark. In Elmwood, where neighbors smiled too wide at each other, the storm seemed to peel back the calm facade and expose something terrible lurking beneath. Anna, a 32-year-old single mother, huddled with her 2 children on the couch, attempting to shield them from the turmoil with whispered stories. But the lightning that split the sky outside echoed the whispers of fear growing inside her heart. Then, just as thunder roared, there was a knock. It pierced the thickness of the storm like a knife. Hesitating, Anna exchanged a worried glance with her children. Jack, their neighbor, a decorated combat veteran, stood at the door. His eyes, dark and piercing, shimmered with secrets. He stepped inside, shaking off raindrops, his presence both a comfort and a warning. He smiled at the kids, a grin that felt too wide for the timid shelter of their living room. As Jack settled in, he spoke of curses and hauntings from a battlefield that was drenched in history and blood. "You wouldn't believe what shadows I faced," he said. His voice trembled, but not with fear. The kids listened, their eyes growing wider, lulled into excitement, or was it terror? Anna's heart raced. Jack's stories twisted the air, weaving nightmares into her cozy home. With each crack of thunder, Anna felt her grip on reality slipping. "Mommy, is Jack a ghost?" her daughter whispered, clinging tightly to her sleeve. "What if the man in the dark wants to play?" echoed her son, voice quivering. Anna's heart sank. The storm outside mirrored something darker, something she didn't yet understand. As the night wore on and Jack departed, his footsteps echoed down the porch like the ghost of a nightmare. Alone in her quiet house, Anna tried to shake off the chill that followed him. Unspeakable dread wrapped around her like an old blanket as the shadows deepened. But it was the soft thumping from the walls that triggered her panic. The thumps reminded her of Jack's unsettling tales, and twisted her insides with fear kept just below the surface. Days passed, and strange occurrences bloomed within Elmwood's sleepy streets. The thumps grew louder. The sounds spiraled into her dreams, invading her rest with horrors her children could never comprehend. Night terrors came rushing in, framing dark creatures with anguished faces, eyes wide and hungry. "Mommy, what if the dark wants to take me?" they asked, and each inquiry felt like a dagger twisting in her gut. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Driven by desperation, Anna confronted Jack, demanding answers. He smiled, but his grin slipped like fog, revealing something dark beneath. She unearthed an ancient artifact hidden beneath his floorboards, a relic that shimmered eerily. Its aura pulsed with life, as if it was waiting, always waiting. The artifact whispered to her in her dreams and spun threads of fear tighter around her. Missing children. Echoes of laughter cut short. Elmwood had its own dark past, and Jack was the key. Every second mattered. As Anna turned the relic over, its surface cold against her palm, Jack stepped closer. Fear coiled in her throat as he confessed to a dark truth. "You think you know me, Anna," he whispered, voice drenched in a darkness that filled her house to bursting. The storm outside seemed to scream in unison, and at that moment, as the storm howled to its peak, Anna faced a chilling realization: the enemy wasn't just the artifact. It was Jack. She felt the fabric of her world unraveling, crumbling into whispers of betrayal. Questions raced in her mind as shadows grew darker, each one creeping ever closer. Was anyone in Elmwood truly safe? The storm grew louder, a relentless beast outside, pounding against the walls of Anna's home. Heart racing, she stood frozen, clutching the artifact, feeling its cold surface send chills up her spine. Jack's eyes bore into her, stormy and impenetrable. "Anna," he began, his voice low, laced with a threat. There are forces at play here you can't comprehend. She wanted to yell back, to demand he explain what he meant, but the words were trapped. Instead, she took a step back, feeling the fear expanding like a balloon in her chest, pushing against her ribs, constricting her breath. In that suffocating silence, the thumps from the walls returned, louder now, as if every beat echoed the pounding of a distant drum. Her children, sensing the tension, crept closer to her side, eyes wide, filled with a curiosity that hinted at terror. They couldn't understand the danger looming before them. Jack's grin twisted further, becoming a mask of something darker, something almost predatory. I can help you, but you must trust me. A flash of lightning illuminated his face, and for a fleeting moment, she saw not the neighbor she thought she knew, but a figure drenched in the horrors he had witnessed, a soldier whose very existence echoed of dread. I know what you seek, but what you're asking for may cost you everything. Tell me what you know. She gasped, tears brimming in her eyes. The weight of the artifact pressed down on her, reality shattering like glass. Was he trying to protect her, or was he the source of this nightmare? The children murmured soft questions, a creeping fear bending the room's air, making it thick, almost suffocating. Jack's expression shifted. It was no longer just a man haunted but something far more sinister. You must understand, Anna. Elmwood is filled with eyes that watch. And they don't like intruders. The moment you pried into my past, it woke them. She blinked furiously, struggling to process what he was implying. The storm raged outside, yawning echoes of thunder a backdrop to the chaos inside her home. Intruders? What are you talking about? Panic sprung from the pit of her stomach, coiling around her heart like a serpent. I kept them at bay, but now that you found what was buried, they're coming. And they're hungry. He stepped closer, reaching for the artifact, his fingers brushing against it with a reverence that chilled her. She recoiled instinctively, clutching it tighter. No. This is mine. But Jack's dark gaze pierced through her resistance. You don't understand, do you? It's not just protection, it functions as bait. It's the reason children have gone missing. The reason the shadows come alive at night. Her breath hitched, a realization clawing its way to the surface. All the stories, the warnings, the unexplained disappearances, they all spun together, fastening like a net around her. I have to get out of here. As she turned, ready to flee towards the door, the shadows shifted. The air turned thick and electric, the shadows waltzed around them, teasing and beckoning. She felt them curl around her, tugging, whispering. Anna! Jack shouted, lunging forward. You can't just leave. But the night had its jaws open wide, hungry for her family, eager to consume everything she held dear. She had to act, had to protect her kids. She couldn't let her fears dictate her next move, but as her fingers grazed the doorknob, she froze. A sound filled the room, a soft giggle, echoing through the walls, a child's laugh long gone, lost to the darkness. Her heart plummeted. The storm outside roared, but a deeper darkness began to swell within the house. Questions spiraled wildly in her mind. Was Jack betraying them? Were the shadows real? And most importantly, what had she awakened by uncovering that artifact? Mommy? Her children called, pulling her back. The word cut through her terror, grounding her just as Jack's voice possessed a desperate urgency. We need to seal it before it's too late. With the storm howling like a beast outside, Anna knew she had to make a choice that could unravel everything, or save her family from an ancient curse that had laid dormant for centuries, but what happened next would decide their fate forever. Would she choose to trust Jack, or face the shadows alone? Anna stood frozen, her breath hitching in her throat. A child's giggle echoed off the walls, sending icy tendrils of dread crawling down her spine. Panic surged in her chest like a tide pulling her under. Jack's desperate plea hung in the air, heavy with urgency. Seal it. Now. His voice cut through the shadows that shifted hungrily around them, each flicker of candlelight setting the darkness to dancing with malicious intent. But how? She felt her pulse pounding a war drum beneath her skin. The artifact pulsed in her grip, an alien heartbeat thrumming through her fingers. Mommy. Her children's voices were higher now, laced with fear. They were just kids, innocent to this unfolding horror. Dark shapes swirled at the edges of her vision, whispering secrets she wasn't ready to hear. Anna. Jack's voice was sharper now, tearing through her fevered mind. You must trust me. I've seen what they can do. I've seen them take children, and adults and the nightmares they leave behind. She wanted to argue, questioning his sanity, the truth behind his claims. Instead, another gust of wind howled, and the shadows crept closer, hungry, waiting. The eyes in the dark were real. They were alive. And they were closing in. With a surge of instinct, Anna turned away from the door and looked at Jack. What do I need to do? Her voice was barely a whisper, lost amidst the tempest outside. She took a step toward him, desperate to shatter the suffocating paralysis weighing on her. Place the artifact in the circle on the floor, he urged, his expression fierce yet filled with something unnameable fear. Regret? She could see the sweat trickling down his forehead, glistening under the flickering lights. We need to reinforce the binding spell. Tension thrummed in the air, electric and potent. Just then, another one of those childish laughs rang out, closer this time. Her heart seized. Was a child trapped in the shadows? No. Anna shouted, tearing herself from her children. Get back. She glanced at Jack, her eyes fierce. You kill what dwells in the dark to protect them. You said it was hunger. Can we sate it? Only by sealing it. You're exposing everything. He reached for her, but she swatted his hand away, disgusted by the mere thought of trusting him fully, but the shadows grew restless, pulsating with the energy of trapped souls who begged to be released or devoured. Come on. Jack shouted, his voice tinged with desperation. They're not just shadows. They're the things that haunt Elmwood. The stories you've heard. They're true. That's what you broke free by finding that artifact. As she moved toward the center of the room, Jack began drawing a circle with his fingers, his intent clear. She could hardly hear the crash of thunder as the storm raged outside, the rumble drowned in the sound of her own heartbeat, pounding a cacophony of doubt into her mind. But beneath the terror, determination rose. She stepped into the center, holding the artifact aloft like a torch, its chilling surface now glowing faintly. At that moment, the storm outside exploded, streaks of lightning illuminating the room in flashes, as if nature herself were taking sides. Shadows lashed out, reaching, clawing, whispering things Anna preferred to ignore. Seal it. Jack shouted again, urgency slicing through him. Do you promise I'll get my children back? She shot back, her voice hoarse, a tremor of hope wrapped in desperation. I promise, he said, his eyes boring into hers. With a shaky breath, she lowered the artifact. It slipped from her grip and landed inside the drawn circle with a resounding thud that reverberated through the house. The shadows hesitated, swirling, but the giggles grew louder, more frenzied, a haunting symphony that underscored the chaos. Now! Jack yelled, his voice melding with the thunder outside. But as Anna began to recite the incantation they had practiced, a chill spiraled through her, a whisper that filled the air, turning her thoughts to despair. She saw it, dark forms blossoming in the shadows, eyes glowing with malevolence. Not just shadows. Not just whispers. Forms of the lost, the taken. Their once innocent faces twisted in agony, the children of Elmwood. No. Anna cried, choking on her words. What are you? A piercing shrill echo filled the room, mingling with the laughter, drowning her cries. The shadows pushed forward, crashing into the circle as if the very fabric of reality shifted, the artifact pulsed wildly, echoing the fear that now seized her heart. And just as Anna felt hope slipping into darkness, it shattered. Seal it. Jack begged, his voice barely audible over the tempest. But Anna's will began to strain. The shadows were not just hungry, they were furious. And furious shadows would devour everything in their path, including her will to fight. Would they ever escape the doom of their past? With frantic energy, she gripped the artifact tighter, praying it would answer, but before she could find resolution in the storm the shadows lunged. What would happen when they finally breached the circle? What had she truly awakened in Elmwood? The moment the shadows collided with the circle, a violent pulse rippled through the air, making Anna stagger back. The room twisted, reality bending around her like a cruel joke. Jack's frantic eyes mirrored her own panic, but there was something different in his gaze, a flicker of grim determination beneath the dread. Keep going. Don't stop. He clenched his fists, his body taut, ready to charge into the chaos if necessary, but how could she when the very ground beneath her felt alive, writhing and grasping at her legs like eager claws? Anna's heart raced. If the shadows breached the barrier, they would swallow everything: her memories, her children, their laughter, and all they were. She forced herself to focus on the incantation. Words tumbled from her lips, garbled and frantic. The shadows hissed, shrieking their discontent in response. It sounded like 1,000 voices all woven with rage and pain. No, no. Anna cried out, fragments of the words slipping through her fingers as if they, too, were trying to escape. Children, come back to me. And then she saw them, glimpses of her children's faces emerging from the darkness, twisted and distorted, their eyes wide with terror. The giggles were now wails, sorrowful echoes that pierced her resolve. Ren. Aiden. Her voice cracked as she called out, each name reverberating against the malevolent forces swirling around her. Fight, my loves. Hold on. But the shadows were relentless, clawing at her confidence, feeding on her fear. They roiled around the circle, angry and desperate, dragging themselves closer with each syllable she failed to form. It was a macabre dance, a ritual both familiar and gut-wrenching. Anna. Jack shouted, jerking her attention back to him, hands reaching as if he could somehow pull her from the brink. The artifact. Channel its power. You have to. Channel its power. Those words struck a chord deep within her. Anna hunkered down, tightening her grip around the artifact, its cold surface burning against her skin, as if it sensed the turmoil. She felt it pulse again, swelling with life, her life, their lives. What had she awakened? A chilling thought sliced through her own thoughts. The artifact wasn't just a tool. It was a key, a lock to something unspeakable waiting to burst forth, eager to consume everything. Please, she whispered to it, desperation curling around her voice. Help me save them. The artifact gleamed in response, emitting a soft light that contrasted against dark desperation swirling through the room. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if afraid of the light. For the first time, Anna felt a tenuous thread of hope. Now, she breathed as she resumed the incantation, pouring every ounce of her love, her fear, and her resolve into the words. The shadows screeched, each sound sharp enough to drive nails into her skull. They surged forward, a wave of darkness threatening to engulf her entirely, to shatter her growing resolve. But she pushed through, the light from the artifact growing brighter, the glowing energy pulsating with her heartbeat. As she reached the climax of the chant, a blinding flash erupted, light spilling across the room like molten gold. She could barely see anything. The shadows faltered, screaming in rage, thrashing against a barrier they could not penetrate. Anna! Jack roared, but she couldn't tell if it was encouragement or fear that drove his voice. In that moment of brightness, clarity struck. A memory of joy, her children's laughter, their innocent play. If she could just hold on to that comeback. She screamed, and it wasn't just a plea, it was a command. She felt the artifact's energy align with her own, catching the lost souls in the currents of her memory. The shadows shrieked, pulling away, the cries of their captured whispers faltering under the weight of her love. But then, in the dying embers of that light, a darkness crept. A shadow deeper than the rest, larger, more grotesque. The embodiment of all the fear she had ever felt, a figure looming in the corner of her vision, too horrible to comprehend. What have you done? It hissed, words slithering like a serpent through her mind. No. No. Panic seized her heart, threatening to throttle her breath. The darkness stretched toward her, cold and vast. And in that moment, she realized the truth: this shadow was not some outside force. It was born of her. Of every fear she had locked away, of every moment she could not change, would she succumb to its grasp. Jack! She cried out, desperately hoping he could find some way to cut through the terror that now threatened to swallow them. What do I do? He was silent for a heartbeat, then the walls trembled with his voice. Unravel it. It's your fear. You must confront it. Confront it. The words hung heavy in the air, a challenge cloaked in terror. As the shadow lunged forward, stretching its claws, Anna knew she had a choice: face this monster staring back at her or become the next victim of Elmwood. Would she break the cycle, or become just another tale lost in the shadows? Time halted as she faced her demons inside and out. What would be the price of that confrontation? The room darkened around Anna, the brightness of the artifact thinning like a fog. The familiar faces of Ren and Aiden flickered in and out of her mind, lost in the swirling mass of fear before her. The monstrous shadow loomed larger, its writhing form a tapestry of her darkest moments, a grotesque mirror reflecting her regrets and sorrows. Anna's breath came in sharp gasps. You're just echoes. She shouted, trying to quell the rising fear. You're nothing. The shadow's claws clicked ominously against the floor, a sound that felt like bones cracking. Nothing, it echoed, its voice a thousand pitch-black whispers. You are nothing without your fears, Anna. They are your identity. No. She screamed, a plea and a challenge. I am more than my fears. The word struck hard, resonating with a fury she hadn't expected. For a split second, Anna's heart raced with defiance. She could feel the warmth of the artifact surging against her palm, igniting a flicker of courage. Jack shuffled closer, his own expression searching. Don't let it drown you. Remember who you are. Think of the kids. He pleaded. Your love is stronger than this. Those words sharpened her focus. Suddenly, she wasn't just a scared mother standing amidst chaos. No, she was a warrior, a protector. In that instant, she could feel her children's warmth, their laughter piercing the darkness like rays of sunlight. Anna tapped deep into that well of love, using it like a shield against the cold hands of despair. With that determination, the shadows recoiled. Stop! The darkness hissed, their talons withdrawing as if recoiling from a purifying flame. But still the figure loomed. You cannot deny me, it said, its voice now dangerously calm. You cannot escape me. No, I can't escape you, but I can accept you. Her words rang out like a clarion call in the depths of her heart. Anna could see the shadow's form beginning to tremble, falter. It was her fear, and it was every moment she had wished to take back, but it was also power. Own it! She shouted, heart pounding. The walls seemed to shift with her declaration, colors swirling like a tempest. What had she experienced? The sleepless nights of worrying about her children, the creeping anxiety that gnawed at her joy, the moments of weakness when she felt she was losing everything. Each disturbing memory flooded her like a wave, turbulent but ultimately cleansing. The shadow writhed in pain, a mass of nightmarish faces locked in a scream, pulsing with her every recollection. You feed me. It shrieked, pain spilling through every decibel. Maybe I did, Anna shot back, emboldened. But no more. I am not just the pain of my past. I have the power to shape my future. The artifact flared bright, pulsing in sync with her heartbeats as her words shattered the last of the darkness around her. For the first time, she felt not just her fear, but her strength growing, surging toward the surface. In that moment, she reached out with both hands, the artifact glowing fiercely between them, as though it understood. You may have been born from my fear, but you do not define me. The shadow shrieked one last time, a sound that echoed like a dying breath before exploding into a flurry of dark flares, scattering against the walls of the room. The artifact radiated warmth, bathing Anna in its gentle glow. Hope surged through her veins as she saw the mist of her children's faces return, illuminated with laughter once more, achieving a clarity previously lost. But just as she felt that victory settle deep in her chest, the ground quaked beneath her feet, an aftershock of sorts. The walls around them shivered, revealing thin cracks as if the house itself quaked in response. A low growl rumbled, whispering dangers yet to come. "What is happening?" Jack shouted, gripping her arm, his eyes darting nervously around. "Anna, look!" he cried out. Shadows flickered at the edges of the room like dark flames licking at the light. She realized with horror that their victory was only partial, something deeper still stirred, waiting, and far worse than what they had just faced. The air thickened with foreboding, and Anna's heart sank as dread pooled in her stomach. Whatever it is, it's not over. As tendrils of darkness wormed through the cracks, searching for a new foothold, Anna knew they had to act fast. Would they be able to protect their sanity, their lives, their reality? Or was there something more insidious waiting to break free? With trembling hands, she turned to Jack. "We need to leave now." But even as she said it, she felt the cold tendrils brush against her ankles. "Before it's too late." The tremors intensified, rattling the floor beneath Anna's feet like the hands of a sinister clock counting down to doom. Jack's grip tightened around her arm, his eyes wide, brimming with dread. "What do we do?" he whispered, breathless. "Find a way out," Anna shouted, her voice trembling but determined. As tendrils of darkness coiled around her ankles, she felt the cold seeping into her bones, but she pushed it back, focusing on the warmth that still flickered in her heart. They turned toward the door, but it was no longer a simple exit. The frame twisted before her eyes, its edges melting into shadow. "We can't escape through there. It's alive." The walls shivered, the very structure of the house groaning as if the darkness demanded its toll. Suddenly, the shadows thickened, morphing into living shapes, distorted faces whispering her name, each syllable dripping with malice. Anna, the sinister chant echoed, an agonizing reminder that this place was not just a house, but a sinister trap that fed on fear and despair. "Think!" Jack yelled, crouching low, trying to shield himself from the shadows growing large around them. "What about the artifact?" It was strong enough to push the last shadows away. Anna looked down at the glowing artifact in her palm, its light flickering like a dying flame. "But this isn't the same. It won't hold off whatever is coming." She felt panic rising, swallowing her thoughts whole. "Try. It's all we have," Jack urged, glancing over his shoulder as the shadows reached for them, sharp claws curling toward their flesh. Without hesitating, Anna closed her eyes, breathing deeply to steady her racing heart. The warmth that had surged through her, the love for her children, it was still there, waiting to be rekindled. She recalled their laughter, their joy, the way they looked at her with trust. Memories danced in her mind like fragile glowing fireflies amidst the dark. She reached inside herself, grasping at that flicker, allowing her feelings to swell like a tide ready to crash against a storm. "Not today!" she shouted suddenly, her eyes snapping open, a wave of fierce energy bursting forth from the artifact. It blazed brightly and shot a beam of light into the swirling shadows, illuminating them momentarily. The faces hidden within the darkness hissed and recoiled as the brilliance pushed them back, their howls echoing like cries of lost spirits. For a heartbeat, Anna could see. She could see the room they were trapped in, the shattered remnants of a life that existed before fear had taken hold completely. And at the center of that darkness, something worse lurked, something ancient and angry, its source feeding the chaos. "Again!" Jack shouted, his voice filled with renewed hope. "Do it again. We have to keep it back." But as she summoned the courage again, a monstrous shape began to coalesce from the shadows, growing larger by the second. Its eyes, twin points of smoldering malice, locked onto her. "You defied me. The voice rumbled, deep and vile, crawling under her skin. I am no mere shadow. I was born from the fears of many, and now I will claim what is mine. The air turned electric, a swirling chaos of dark and light. The ground beneath her feet shifted dangerously, making it hard to keep her balance. But Anna didn't back down. I choose to fight. With that, she launched forth, the artifact pulsing with renewed energy. She focused all her love, all her fears, all the moments spent worrying about her children into that moment. It was no longer just about battling darkness, it was about reclaiming her life. The shadows writhed, and the monstrous figure bellowed, "You cannot win. You may take many forms, but you will never have me." Anna shot back, determination fueling her. As the light flickered, the ground ripped open beneath the beast. The house shook violently, and cracks spiderwebbed through the walls like the sinister smile of the darkness. But even as she battled, Anna felt doubt creeping in again, whispering that this creature was more than just another fear. What if it had a hold on something deeper? Something terrifyingly insatiable? Anna! Look out! Jack screamed, his voice piercing through her focus as shadows surged, clawing toward her in a ravenous frenzy. She spun, the brightness of the artifact swirling stronger, but then, she knew. The true battle had yet to begin. What have we unleashed? Anna whispered, realizing she was no longer just fighting the darkness but awakening a force they might not be able to control. Before she could react, chains of darkness shot toward her. Anna's heart raced as she braced for impact, knowing the real horror was still lurking, an unspeakable power they weren't prepared to face. And then everything went black. Light returned in a jarring rush, illuminating Anna in a haze of confusion and fear. The once gestating shadows, now balling up into a chaotic mass, writhed around her. Jack was still by her side, but horror twisted across his face. "Where are we?" he gasped, scanning their surroundings. The light from the artifact flickered and danced as if it was trying to tell them something, but the darkness pressed closer, eager for the chance to consume them both. They stood in what seemed like a vast void, but the outlines of familiar objects materialized around them: cracked furniture pieces, a broken window, and the remnants of a shattered wooden frame. It was the same house, yet it felt distorted, like an eerie reflection in a funhouse mirror. "Jack!" Anna whimpered, clutching his arm tighter. "What is happening?" Suddenly, the shadows morphed, and ghastly laughter echoed through the chamber. The very air thickened with dread as the towering figure of darkness loomed large before them, its shape shifting, almost mocking. "Welcome back, dear ones," the beast gurgled, its voice like gravel tearing through skin. "You've opened a door, and now the past shall haunt your future." Anna's heart raced. "We're trapped." She fought to steady her pulse, moments racing through her mind. Her children, what would they think if she couldn't escape this nightmare? The air crackled with anticipation, and the horror's form undulated like a weightless shroud. "Shadows do not fade," it continued, "they engulf. They feast. And you will be my greatest delight." "No!" Jack shouted, his voice trembling but resolute. "We want to be your playthings. We want to." Anna steadied herself. She felt the warmth of the artifact pulsing between them, urging her to remember her strength. She closed her eyes, recalling their joy, her children spiraling into her arms, laughter that filled their home, their future flashing vibrant and alive. "Find your courage," she encouraged, stirring Jack from his frozen state. "We can fight it together." With renewed determination, Anna squeezed Jack's hand. The artifact flared again, throwing off bursts of light that carved through the thick shadows, momentarily blinding the beast. It hissed like an angry serpent retreating, slithering backward into the darkness. Driven by adrenaline, they charged forward, following the flickering path created by the artifact. But suddenly, a rumble shook the ground, and the void resembled a collapsing tunnel. "Go! Go!" Anna screamed, propelling them both deeper into the shimmering light. The darkness clawed at them, tearing at their clothes and scraping at their skin like nails on glass. Shadows whispered twisted tales, creeping into their minds, each story an echo of another despairing soul lost within the house. "What are they saying?" Jack panted, panting heavily as they sprinted. "Regrets, fears, things left undone." Anna shouted back, feeling the bile rise in her throat. The past clawed and threatened to bleed through. Visions of her fears wrapped around her like chains, whispering, reminding her of moments she wished to erase, yet, as they moved deeper, Anna felt something else stirring beneath her fear, a flicker of hope, a memory of love that was stronger than the darkness could ever be. "We are stronger than our shadows," she yelled, pushing against the suffocating despair. The shadows hissed in rebellion, recoiling momentarily from the strength of her voice, but they surged back with a vengeance. The figures morphed again, forming into twisted faces of despair, reaching for them with outstretched hands. "You cannot escape," they cried, their voices merging into a cacophony of terror, but even amidst the horror, Anna felt something shift. "This ends now." She summoned every ounce of love in her heart, pouring it into the artifact. Light exploded, seizing the darkness in a relentless whirl, then reality ripped apart like cheap paper. The ground fell away, and with it, the shadows screeched in fury, unraveling against the taste of love they could not comprehend. As the light enveloped them, Anna realized they were no longer in the house. They were hurled into another dimension of pulsing chaos, darkness rushing in from all sides but illuminated by a bright glow at its center, and there, amidst the swirling maelstrom, a sudden realization struck her, an echo of a forgotten truth hidden in the rubble of her memories. What if the shadows were nothing but a reflection of what they truly had lost? "Jack, look!" she cried, trying to catch her breath, pointing at the bright glow. This could be our escape." But as they moved closer, tension surged through the air. The glow pulsed ominously, and something dark shifted beneath its surface, awakening with a terrible hunger. "Anna," Jack warned, "we might not be alone." As they reached out toward the light, an ominous voice boomed from within the depths, "You think love can save you? I shall feast on your light, and claim your very soul." Anna's heart plummeted. With every step closer they took, the shadows grew heavier, darkening their path. What terrifying truth awaited them in that luminous center? And then, the light flickered, and all went dim once again. The darkness enveloped Anna and Jack like a suffocating shroud. The stark glow that had seemed a beacon of hope now twisted into a portal, a gateway that pulsated in time with their racing hearts. The ominous voice echoed again, its tone dripping with malice. "Your light. I will consume it." Cold sweat trickled down Anna's back as panic surged through her. "We need to move," she gasped, dragging Jack by the arm toward the truth the light promised. The shadows seethed behind them, snapping like hungry jaws. "You cannot escape." Their whispers chorused, the voices each familiar yet foreign, conjuring the faces of lost loved ones. Memories of laughter turned to tears, truths wrapped in a shroud of betrayal. Fear squeezed Anna's chest. The light ahead flickered, like a candle in a storm, but she couldn't give up now. "We're almost there," she urged, though doubt gnawed at her insides. But as they drew near, the dark goo slithered across the ground, wrapping around their legs like serpents. "Leave this place," it hissed, "and you will lose everything." Jack struggled against the shadows pulling him back, his face pale with terror. "Anna. We can't." "No. We have to try," she shouted back, determination igniting within her. Together, with every ounce of strength, they fought against the encroaching void. Anna thought of her children, their giggles filling the air, the safety of their home. But the shadows twisted her thoughts, revealing the dark corners of her mind, pairs of eyes watching her flaws, her insecurities manifesting like living nightmares. "You lost them once," a whisper taunted, the breath icy against her skin. "They will never forgive you." "No." Anna screamed, heart racing. The mere idea sent shivers down her spine. But she had to silence it. "They are safe. They are waiting for us." In the chaos, the artifact flickered like a distressed heartbeat, glimmering in the mess of despair. It called to her, urging her to embrace the light. Use it. Jack shouted, fighting to free himself. The glow around them grew brighter, pulsing in rhythm with Anna's racing heart. She squeezed her eyes shut, focusing, calling forth the love inside her, her memories crystallizing into a single intention. Love is stronger. She shouted, as if daring the shadows to contest her claim. The golden warmth filled her body, and she felt the artifact's energy surge toward the darkness as if it were a lifeline cast into storm-tossed waters. With a deep breath, she thrust her hands toward the pulsing glow. I will not be your plaything. A tsunami of light erupted, flooding the void, enveloping the tendrils of darkness. The shadows recoiled, letting out shrieks that pierced the air. No. No. The walls of their reality began to rupture, revealing fissures of new colors and flickering images of their past, her children's faces. But the shadows retaliated, a whirlwind of tattered forms swirling back, clawing desperately. You cannot have them. They are mine. Anna gasped as the darkness surged again, a desperate attempt to pull her back into the bowls of despair. Jack! She cried, searching for him through the chaos. I'm here. He shouted, fighting against the shadows. Keep going, Anna. Don't stop. The light wobbled, flickering but refusing to dim. Anna pushed on, her spirit igniting with every breath. She thought of every little moment that mattered, each memory of her family infusing her resolve with power. And suddenly the universe bent around them, and the light exploded outward, an overwhelming wave pushing back the shadows who screeched in pain, unraveling like old photographs crumbling into dust. A rift opened, revealing a new world, a cascade of sunlight. But even as hope blossomed, the voice boomed, deeper now, you think you won. I will return. I know your fears, and I will feed. Anna hesitated just a moment. What lay beyond the light? Could she trust it? But Jack's unwavering grip bolstered her. Trust it. He urged. As they stepped forward together, the shadows pulled back, creating the space they needed, but remnants of the darkness clawed for their legs. This isn't over. Anna felt the pull of fear, the doubt lurking at the edges of her mind. What if they were leaping into another trap, deeper still? The edge of the light beckoned them, the warmth enticing yet potentially fleeting. Go! Jack shouted, eyes wide with urgency. They lunged together into the glow, leaving the wailing darkness behind. As they crossed the threshold, for one heartbeat, Anna felt the world pause. And in that silence, uncertainty echoed louder than ever. What horrors awaited them after the light? A whisper curled through the air, you cannot escape your past, it follows. And the world twisted again, reality shifting as they plunged deeper into the unknown, never knowing what truly lay in wait. As Anna and Jack stumbled through the blinding light, they braced for impact, each heartbeat laced with dread. The world shifted violently around them, colors spinning like a kaleidoscope, until with a harsh crack, they landed hard on a damp, cold surface. They looked up, disoriented. The light faded, leaving them in a dimly lit chamber carved into an underground stone. The walls glistened with moisture, organic shapes forming grotesque faces that seemed to leer at them. Congealed darkness pooled in every corner, moving like tendrils of fog, whispering harshly about their failures. Where are we? Jack gasped, his voice echoing ominously in the confined space. Somewhere worse, I think, Anna replied, her throat tightening as she surveyed their surroundings. A narrow passage stretched in front of them, covered in dirt and remnants of past battles, relics of the haunted battlefield they had unwittingly stepped into. But beneath the surface crunched more than mere earth. The remnants were bones, their yellowing surfaces betrayed by centuries of neglect. She felt a pang of horror, a cold realization gripped her heart. An overwhelming sense of blame and pain washed over her. Keep moving, Anna, Jack urged, tugging her arm as shadows began to curl closer, enveloping their legs once again. The echoes of distant cries slipped through the cracks of the stone, punctuated by the chilling sound of feet marching in the dark. "It's the soldiers," Anna murmured, the memories flooding back, stories of the brave souls lost in wars long past, their souls restless, searching for closure. But these stories felt wrong, twisted heavy with malice. The shadows whispered taunts, twisted identities of those they had loved. "You abandoned us," a voice hissed, eerily familiar. "Why should you be free?" "Shut up!" Anna yelled, covering her ears, but the memories clawed deeper than that. "We didn't do anything." Jack's voice trembled. He swayed, collapsing against a damp stone. "Why are they tormenting us?" "They want to drag us back to their suffering," Anna whispered, her chest tightening with dread. "They want vengeance." The passageways seemed to shrink, pulling tighter around them. Panic bubbled up, her breath quickened. "We can't let them take us." They pressed on, hearts pounding as dread filled each step. The glow of their previous light now felt like a mocking memory, waning under the weight of the earth. Suddenly, before them, a figure materialized from the shadows, a soldier, spectral and gaunt. His eyes burned with anger, his spectral uniform torn and stained. "Why do you disturb our rest?" he growled, teeth bared in eternal agony. "We only want to pass." Jack pleaded, his voice breaking. "Your presence is a blight. You will pay for the sins of the past." Anna stepped forward, heart racing, her voice trembling but filled with fierce determination. "We are not your enemies. We want to help. We want to lift the curse you carry." With every word, the soldier turned to her, confusion blending with rage. The shadows around them pulsed, drawn like moths to the flame of her defiance. "Help!" he scoffed, taking a menacing step closer, his spectral arm reaching out. "You can't even save yourselves." The walls trembled, and the air thickened with despair. Anna felt the presence of countless souls pressing down on them, all eager for tethering, seeking an answer to their bloodied pasts. "We need to focus," Jack shouted, desperation lacing his voice. "If we confront their pain, maybe, just maybe, we can set them free." But as they stood there, the shadows blended into an omen of terror. The soldier laughed, a mirthless sound that clawed at the corners of sanity. "Then meet your end in darkness. Like us." Anna steeled herself, gripping Jack's hand, the chill of their fear merging as the shadows surged forward. "Face your past," Jack shouted. "We won't run anymore." In that instant, Anna felt a spark. Was it courage boiling from within or a reckless folly? The pulsing regret that had filled the air shifted to a cacophony of screams, their angry voices drowning out her thoughts. As darkness engulfed them, she hesitated, torn between surrender and bravery. What if they consume us instead? Looking at Jack, she saw their future intertwined in a fleeting glimpse, hope pushing back the dread. Would they dare to confront the terror that awaited, or would the shadows claim them both, swallowing them into eternal night? The choice hung in the air, potent as their breaths quickened in the encroaching void. Which path would they take? And would it lead to salvation, or their complete demise? The shadows clamored, swirling around Anna and Jack like a tempest. The soldier's furious gaze bore down on them, igniting a fire of fear and doubt within her. But it was Jack's unwavering grip that anchored her, steadying her racing heart. "Anna, focus," he urged, his voice slicing through the noise. "We need to confront their pain, together. We can't let them pull us under." As the soldier loomed closer, Anna felt a surge of defiance. "We're not your enemies," she shouted, forcing her voice to rise above the cacophony. "We're here to help. We can lift the curse together." The soldier hesitated, shadows writhing violently around his form. "Help? You think it's that simple? We've suffered for too long." "Then let us help you," Jack said, stepping forward. "Tell us what binds you to this darkness." The specter faltered, anger flickering in his eyes. You know nothing of pain. But we do. Anna stepped closer, her breath steadying as she looked into the soldier's hollow gaze. We know fear. We know loss. Every day, we fight to protect those we love. At her words, the soldier's expression cracked. The shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, surging forward, hungry for chaos. Anna realized they were being pulled into the soldier's anguish. The walls shook, rattling with the echoes of lost souls screaming for justice. Together we can summon their strength. Jack shouted, urgency woven through his words. It's not just about us. It's about setting them free. They want peace. The spectre's visage twisted, rage boiling. You think you possess the strength to bring peace? You'll never escape your fates. No. Anna cried, feeling the weight of every child lost to the darkness, every fear that sought to consume her. We're not just here to fight. We're here to remember. Images of lost laughter flooded her mind, every joy intertwined with the shadows of despair. She felt them, the children, the echoes of loved ones lost, they were her strength. I remember you. She shouted, their memories swirling around her, shining as beams of light daring to pierce the gloom. Feel it. Jack urged, joining her as they poured their combined energy into their words. You are not alone. We're here to carry the burden with you. Walk towards the light. The shadows shrieked, protesting against the warm light that dawned within Anna's heart. She felt the artifact pulse in her hand, sensing their bond amplifying, transforming fear into hope. Their collective spirit resonated, binding together to create a shield against despair. The soldier's cruel laughter faltered, uncertainty rippling through his spectral form. No. You cannot, we are your light. Anna screamed, her voice breaking through. You can be more than your pain. Come with us. For the first time, she saw more than rage in the soldier's eyes. Confusion danced alongside the anguish. The darkness swirling around him flickered, then hesitated, as if unsure of itself. The energy between the three of them ignited a strength, a chaotic symphony both terrifying and beautiful. It was there, nestled within the shadows, the flickers of light yearning for release. Anna pressed on, the warmth of the artifact filling her with confidence. Remember who you are. She cried, pulling at the core of its haunting identity. You fought bravely. You loved fiercely. Let go of the darkness that binds you. Let it transform into something beautiful. With a deafening roar, the shadows spiraled, dissipating into wisps of night while the soldier stood, caught between fury and surrender. His form shifted, a flicker of humanity breaking through the chains of anger. Please, Jack echoed, tears spilling down his cheeks. Accept our help. Let us set you free. A moment of vulnerability overcame the soldier. You would do that for me? Yes, for you and for all those lost, Anna declared, feeling warmth swell in her chest. We can carry this pain together. The shadows receded, the grasping tendrils loosening their hold as Anna and Jack poured their light into the soldier's heart. Slowly, the bright glow grew stronger, swirling around the specter like a beacon of hope. Both figures radiated warmth, drawing from the suffocating darkness that once claimed them. Light erupted, washing over them all in a blinding explosion. The shadows screamed, twisting and tearing away, until only the soldier remained, bathed in brilliant illumination. Thank you, he whispered, the anguish melting from his features. And just like that, the darkness shuddered as if released from some unseen weight. It rippled and dissipated before their eyes, leaving behind a soft glow that flickered like the laughter of children playing in the sun.as. The light faded. The chamber around them transformed into an ethereal space, calm and peaceful. The soldier's form began to sparkle, tendrils of light weaving through him as he lifted away, weightless and free. At last, he breathed, a smile gracing his hallowed face, thank you. Finally, he vanished, leaving behind a lingering warmth. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and for the first time, the air felt clear. Anna turned to Jack, tears streaming down, relief washing over her. You did it. We did it. As they embraced, the ground beneath their feet began to shift again, their portal to freedom reappearing. This time, it shimmered with radiant colors, inviting them forward. With hands still entwined, they exchanged a determined glance. Together? Jack asked, hope glimmering in the depths of his eyes. Always. Anna replied, feeling light-hearted for the first time. They stepped toward the radiant portal, ready to reclaim their lives, a life filled with love and laughter, finally free from the shadows that had haunted them for too long. As they crossed into the light, Anna whispered, "We're going home." Behind them, the echoes of defeated shadows began to fade, leaving only the memories of love and strength that would guide them from that day forward. While they walked into the unknown, they realized they were not only survivors of a haunting tale but also the authors of a bright, new beginning, one filled with the light that never fades. Now, as we wrap up this incredible journey, don't let it end here. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this amazing conclusion. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic ending. We want to hear from you. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to experience this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Your voice matters.